So here we're on the inside of the house. This is a small semi-octagon room, and the authenticity of the project is really everything. You either have a philosophy of trying to do it exactly right, or you have a slippery slope of compromising. So our goal was to put the house back together just like Jefferson did with his original workers, even using the same historical sequence. So when he first starts living here, it was a brick shell, no plaster, no doors, no ceilings. We had it like that for about 5 years while we worked on the wing, which is his sequence. So once we've come back in here, we did the plaster, 3-coat lime plaster on the walls using a Scottish plasterer, later an English plasterer to do the ceilings. And then we started putting up the pieces of trim, the chair rail, the base, the architraves, and these are the parts that Jefferson uses over and over. And we'll see in another room how we know where these went and what size they were. But this has been a process that was just like Jefferson's. How does he get the right workers? How does he get the right material? Where does the material come from? He's importing some materials from Europe. They have to come by ship to Richmond, which is the port. They then have to come either up the James River on bateau boats, which is not easy, or they have to come by a wagon. And sometimes the materials that we got for the restoration came from Europe. It's a little easier to have them shipped here, but it's still the same process of finding the same material and trying to find the correct craftsman to put it all together. So one thing that we did not long ago was we had a craftsman in Charlottesville put together 10 walnut doors. And you see these are varnished, and it's a very rich looking walnut grain. And some of them are even bizarre looking patterns of grains. It's pretty obvious what Jefferson wants. Everybody else has a pine door that you paint. He wants to show off the nature of what Virginia can produce. So this is an artwork of nature showing the grain of the walnut that came from a nearby tree. All of this woodwork that looks kind of varnished gets painted because this was typically painted and you wouldn't show the wood grain. And so the house has a kind of a kaleidoscope of textures and colors, and all of these are Jefferson preferences, and they're not like other houses. So the varnished walnut, the creamy white that these get painted, the pigmented lime washes of pastel colors that color the walls, the polished oak floors. Jefferson says this floor is a European floor. Not that it's oak, but that it has a oil and a wax and a polish. And when Jefferson's living in Paris, he even has to hire a servant whose job it is just to polish the floors every day. And this is what, he's picking and choosing the things that he's seen in his life, seen in Europe, seen in America, putting it all together, making a very personal statement. So when we start putting all this back together, it is a very interpretive process because visitors are seeing somebody do the plaster, make the moldings by hand, lay the floor, put down the polish. So this whole process, restoration process, has been on view and has been interpretive. Whereas some museums will close the house or the building, do all the fun work, and then open it back up, and the visitors don't see the process, which everybody loves to see. So that's what Poplar Forest became known for, is seeing the process of how to figure it out, how to put it back together.